Why bats, Master Wayne?
Bats frighten me. This time my enemies shared my dread.
I first became interested in taking on Batman when I heard that Warner Brothers was looking to renew and reinvent the franchise. I'd made my last film at Warner Brothers, so I was able to go to them and explain to them the way I saw the Batman franchise being interestingly reinvented. From the beginning, my interest was in taking on a superhero story but treating it in a realistic fashion. I've always been a big fan of the character, but I am by no means any kind of comic book expert. I felt I needed a writer on the project who really knew the character inside out, really knew the comic world.
Chris's agent rang me up one day. I'd always wanted to write a Batman movie. I remember telling my mother when I was a kid that I was going to go to Hollywood one day and do a Batman film. And in a way, I'd been waiting my whole life for this call.
David, unfortunately at that time, said he couldn't possibly write the script because he only had 8 or 9 weeks until he was going to go off to direct.
I said, if I did do it, this is what I would do, and you can just have my ideas for free. And I talked for about an hour and spitballed a large amount of what the film is. And Chris said, wow, that sounds great. He went away again for a few more days. I got a call again saying, you have to do this, you have to do this.
I guess he's just such a big fan of the character, he couldn't resist carving out the time to just come on board and work out the story with me and then write the first draft.
One of the ironies of this film is it's this massive, massive movie. But the way that the film was created were in sort of very humble settings, so to speak.
David and I would meet at my house, out the back of my garage, in my office, and throw ideas around and really start working out the major beats.
It was clear to me that if they were going to restart the Batman franchise, something very dramatic would have to be done, something very different. In my opinion, we had to go backwards and tell Batman's origin story.
The origin story had never been addressed on film, or really even in the comics. That is to say, there isn't really a single definitive account of the journey of Bruce Wayne into Batman. David Goyer and myself drew very heavily on this great history of this character. It's these key events in Bruce Wayne's life that we know of, and then a lot of very interesting gaps that we were able to interpret ourselves, and those we took to be the most important elements of what makes Batman the great legend that he is. As David was writing his first draft and we were fully working out the story, I actually brought on Nathan Crowley, my designer, and moved him into the garage to start working on the key design elements.
It was in August in LA in the garage with the washing machines, so we had to take the day off when the cleaner came around because they'd leave the dryers on and get way too hot.
It's a really interesting way to work because we, would feed each other information, and Nathan would say, oh, I have an interesting idea, and then Chris and I would put that into the story, or vice versa.
By working that way, having your production designer in one room and your co-writer in another, you've really got this, fantastic symbiotic thing going on that's going to give you really great inspiration, which is what happened.
It was very important to me that nobody see anything of what we were doing until it was finished, until we were ready to show different elements.
We are used to working on films where you're fighting to let people know about your film. On this, we were fighting to, keep it all under wraps.
We had a fake name for the project that Chris came up with called the Intimidation Game, and all the documents, all the contracts, the scripts, things like that were the Intimidation Game.
It had nothing to do with the title of the film, but people ended up thinking it was the title of the film, which was all a little bit strange.
After we finished the script, no photocopies were made for the executives at Warner Brothers. They came to Chris's house and sat in that same garage. They brought in some couches and read the script there.
That initial stage where you're getting to really let your imagination run free and really explore ideas is one of the most fun parts of the filmmaking process. You're really trying to think and design and dream on the grandest scale imaginable.